Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, I'm going to tell you guys why the Audi e-tron GT I have parked right behind me is better than the Porsche Taycan when it comes to cabin tech and primary and secondary controls. So what we're going to do in this video is that I'm going to show you guys through the primary controls, secondary controls, some of the infotainment system. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. And then I'm also going to show you guys the digital gauge cluster and tell you guys if I think, this is better than the Taycan, equal, or worse. And just to be clear, guys, I haven't spent too much time in the Porsche Taycan, so I may be forgetting some details or neglecting some details, and I've spent a lot of time in this car, and I also, daily in Audi e-tron 55. Okay, guys, so let's start with the steering wheel. And yeah, this is not too different from what you would find in the Porsche Taycan, because you have a whole bunch of physical buttons. You also, have your audio controls on the right side, and then you have your screen controls and other functions on the left side, if I'm not mistaken. Though this car has pedals, I don't think you have pedals on the Taycan. Again, I may be mistaken, but the Taycans I have driven don't have pedals. And what this does is that this, controls the regen. Though the regen in this car is super, super weak, it barely makes any difference. And that is very, very weird because, having spent a lot of time in the Skoda Enyaq lately, which has also pedals, regen is quite strong. And then my Audi e-tron has stronger regen than this, so I don't know why they did it that way. Okay, so let's start with the right side, and I do like these controls a whole bunch because you have your volume knob here, which is a scroll wheel, which is, that's the way to do it. A scroll wheel for volume on your steering wheel. That is superb. I love that. The Porsche Taycan has the same functionality, if I'm not mistaken. And you can also skip forwards and backwards for track. And then you have your voice commands here, which I never use. And then you can, answer and hang up your phone there. And then you have your heated steering wheel button there. That is very, very nice. If you don't option the heated steering wheel, this will just be a star symbol. And you could customize that button to different functions. And then on the left side here, you can change the views of your digital gauge cluster. And this gauge cluster, the Audi virtual cockpit is one of the best in the business. And then you can also scroll here between the different settings. So there you have your map, you have your phone, you have your Apple CarPlay, and then you have your trip computer. And you can also use this scroll wheel to scroll in between the different, modes and information displays. And yeah, this is super easy. I do love Audi's virtual cockpit. It is one of the best, digital gauge clusters in the business, and also the functionality of it is super, super nice. And then you can, click in here to show different things, lap times, lap statistics. You can do reduce display, shows you like that. And you can go back to your onboard computer. This is super, super nice. But what I am lacking is a readout for the battery percentage. This car does not have that. The Porsche Taycan has battery temp, battery percentage. It has a lot of battery information that, well, you don't even have battery temp in this car. So the gauge cluster in the Porsche Taycan is different, but it has some functionality that I think is better. So I would almost call it a draw because the size of this is taller, and it can give you this full screen virtual cockpit display. The Porsche screen is wider, though some of the gauges are hidden behind the steering wheel. Yeah, it's pretty much a wash at this point. It is just your personal preference. I think they both do that very nice. And both cars also have your cruise control down here, which is, the best way to do it. Your own stock down here where you can increase your speed, decrease your speed. Also your distance is here on the stock. Though the setup is a little bit different on the Porsche, it's the same. You activate, you cancel, you can turn it all the way off, and you set it here via this button. It's super, super nice. And yeah, I would say, steering wheel controls and also the gauge cluster and, the primary controls here for your radar guided cruise control is about the same as in the Taycan. Then we have the infotainment system here. This is 10.9 inches, this screen, or 11 inches, depending on what source you're quoting. And this is the same screen you have in the Porsche Taycan. So I mean, screen quality, the display is as beautiful, though the layout of the infotainment system is a bit different. So, you know, this is basically made for having a dual screen, because in my Audi e-tron you have a dual screen there, and that takes, you know, some of the lacking of this, the functionality of this takes it up a notch. Because what you can do with the secondary screen down here is you can make shortcuts for things you use readily, like you know, your home address or your battery percentage. This, to go to battery percentage, is a bit of a fiddle. You have to go into car. So first you have to, you know, if you go home, you have to go to car, and then you have to go to charging and efficiency, and then you have to go to charging, and then you get your battery percentage there. I mean, it's quite straightforward, like pressing, but it's so many places to go that, I mean, the Porsche Taycan just beats it out here, because it has, you know, it shows the battery percentage in the display. And my Porsche, not my Porsche, my Audi e-tron, you can make this as a shortcut where it's just a one press to get there. So I mean, it's not the end of the world, because you have, you know, this battery indicator down there, but I would, you know, wish for them to do it better, and the way this is, it's not good enough. Initially I thought you could, you know, with this drop down menu here, you could make it a shortcut, but I've tried to fiddle around and I can't find any way. So here you have some shortcuts. Here you have, you know, you can rise and lower the spoiler. This is, yeah, your garage, and, you know, other shortcuts here. This is your head-up display, which I actually don't use in this car. And then you have air ionizing, and you have your different settings there. So, you know, the infotainment system within itself is very snappy, easy to use. Yeah, okay, laggy. That's the first time. Yeah, so usually it's super snappy and quick to respond, you know, going to different menus and stuff like that. And also the navigation system is super easy, where, you know, again, in my car you would have your own screen to do the to write in an address. But if you go, for example, let's go something a bit hard. Let's go Circle K.
C-I-R.
Yeah.
Space.
Okay, let's just try this, guys, so you can see.
F-U-R.
F-U what? No, okay, you couldn't find. Maybe because it's in English, but okay, if we go space.
K.
No, I'm.
Space. F-U.
Yeah.
R.
F-U. So you can just keep on typing, but sometimes it won't be able to find what you're searching for here. Then you can press the Google, and then it will do a Google search. So I mean, this is, like, functionality wise, like most GPS or most, you know, navigation systems struggle to find, you know, addresses sometimes. This just, if you have any problem, press the Google, it will do a Google search, and it will always find it. And then you also have the information up there, and then you, as I said, you can also show the navigation like that. So I mean, functionality wise, it's super easy because it's reliable. It just works all of the time. And you know, the layout is sometimes a bit fiddly in the to find different things. Like there are many, like all of this, what is this, weather and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it could be a bit simpler, but I think it works nice. You know, it's very seldom laggy. That lagginess, that's the first time I've seen that in this week. And also, you know, just having your shortcuts here on the side, your navigation, you know, your phone, your media, that's radio. I don't want to go into radio, but everything is just so easy to use. And then you have your secondary controls down here, which is your climate control. And, you know, this is a screen in other Audis, and I don't mind it because you have your whole screen dedicated, you know, in real estate, but this has physical buttons. And, you know, compared to the Porsche, this is something I do prefer, because physical buttons, I mean, I always prefer physical buttons. You have this, you know, mechanical interaction with the car that is just very nice. Everything is simple. You have your, you know, cooled seats there. You have your heated seats there. Everything is just so easy and clicky and nice to use. Your own dedicated screen. You know, you want to go off with AC. It's just, it's super simple. And then you also have even more buttons down here. So you have your drive selector. You can toggle between different modes, or you can just press it. You can also go to an individual mode. you know, traction control off, just hold that. And it is off. I mean, it's so easy, so simple. Shortcut to your 360 camera. You have your beautiful, you know, 3D view of the camera like that. And those wheels there, those are the 20-inch wheels. I actually prefer those to the ones on this car. And your park assist, and you can also, you know, just go ahead and turn off the screen if you want. Usually, or do you have to hold that in? Select the system. Okay, unavailable. Okay. And then you have your gear selector down here, which on the Porsche sits up there. I prefer having it down there. And then you have this, which is a bit of a mixed bag, but you know, in the Porsche, you have to press the screen to control the volume. This is like you can scroll it like this. You use it like a volume knob, and then you can also track forwards and backwards and mute and turn everything on and off. So, I mean, the differences aren't too big, because in the Porsche you have this screen down here, which you can do your climate control more like you would do like in the Audi E-Tron 55, the big Audi E-Tron. But you don't have, you know, your scroll wheel for volume. You don't have your physical buttons. I do prefer physical buttons, and I also prefer having the drive selector down here, you know, your transmission. So yeah, I mean, overall there isn't much difference. There isn't too much in it, but just overall I prefer the layout, you know, with the physical buttons there compared to the Porsche Taycan. So there we go, guys. That was my comparison between the Audi e-tron GT and Porsche Taycan when it comes to cabin tech and primary and secondary controls. You know, the differences in functionality isn't too big. Though these cars have very different approaches, it's not very obvious which one, you know, is my favorite. But as I said, I do prefer just, you know, that layer of physical buttons in this car. But I found it very interesting because, you know, I did the ID.4 versus the Skoda Enyaq, and those cars are, you know, as this car and the Porsche Taycan built on the same platform, closely related. But the difference between the ID.4 and the Enyaq is much greater, where, I mean, the Enyaq just, in my opinion, is so much better. But when it comes to this car, I mean, this is slightly better. Is it the deal breaker? No, not at all, but there is a difference. So guys, let me know what you think. Have you tested both of these cars? Which, you know, of these cars do you prefer when it comes to the cabin tech and primary and secondary control? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.
Cloudless skies in the midday.